For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jessica Lockwood, and some of you know me by Nurse Jessie. And I am now like an essential oil nurse. Right? I've done different types of, I'm an RN, and I've done different types of nursing, but my favorite one is aromatherapy. Being an essential oil nurse is magnificent. And I started because I used it for my life, for my health. That's how I started. That was the reason. Okay, she got on. Oh, good. Martha's here. That was the reason that I started using essential oils, because I was diagnosed with prediabetes. And as a nurse, I understood the ramifications of that. That was a very hard diagnosis for me to receive. You know, I've been working my whole life to be healthy. Both my parents are diabetic, and it was looming, but I wanted to keep it from coming and manifesting itself. So my journey started that way. And most nurses, essential oil nurses, and if any of you are here, let me know that you're a nurse. Most nurses will say, we didn't join, right? Right now we're doTERRA, right? And usually we have a conference, but we don't speak about our companies, but we're doTERRA people. So we didn't join doTERRA because of science. We joined doTERRA and utilizing the products because of personal experience. Most nurses will tell you that. And so because of my personal experience utilizing the essential oils and managing my sugar levels prior to MetaPower, which is even more exciting, I decided that I wanted to spread the word both in my Latin community, that's where I started, and then the English speaking community. And it's been a blessing in my life. I've been able to stay home and take care of my girls and give them my best energy, I would say, instead of giving my best energy to an employer and coming and giving my worst energy to my kids, right? Because that's the last bit. So I've been able to do that. And today we have a magnificent class for you guys today. Leathra is an amazing woman. I've been fortunate to know her. We are actually neighbors, and she now has decided, because of her personal experience, not because of science, because of her personal experience and her journey with her husband, her children, herself, that this is something she wants to share with others to help. But prior to getting her to share her story, which is a powerful story, so I invite you to go get tissues, you might need that, and also to go get your notebook and pen and be ready and take some notes, because this has transformed my life. And I am in the medical world, and so I speak from a medical perspective. And Leathra is in the psychology IT world, and she's had a personal experience with her and her family. This is the time that Leathra and her family started introducing Symphony of the Cells, around this time. And she'll tell you more about it, but I just want you guys to watch this video. It's very, very touching, very moving. And this is their family, and they're visiting their father, Tom, in the hospital, and it's his birthday. Okay, so we're gonna, yeah. I remember in church when they announced that Tom was fighting, just came out of nowhere, fighting for his life. And it just came out of nowhere too. I know the family, Leathra, is here joining us and nodding yes. And you feel helpless, right, as an individual, because you're like, what can I do? You just want the person to be better, and there's nothing you can do but maybe offer prayers. And so as I prayed to see what I could do, I just had learned about Symphony of the Cells, and I said, wow, Leathra must be dealing with a lot because she's a mother of 7. And I said, what I can offer her is my service and offer her comfort. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Or Leathra can tell you a little bit more about that, about how I offered her and her response. But here we are today. So, but Leathra is a mom of 7. So when she was dealing with this as well as her husband, now she has 7 children. Well, one is married, but she has little ones in her home and her nephews, and right to help out. And she started using oils thanks to a nurse practitioner, and then we got connected through a neighbor. But she decided that this is something she wanted to incorporate in her family. So I'm going to share a little bit about Leathra. As you can see her, she's right next to me on the screen. And Leathra is a mother of 7. She, as I mentioned before, has a degree in psychology. And also we were talking about, she mentioned, what is it? What did you say?
Visual technologies, which is kind of a jack of all trades for the for computers.
There you go. And so I said, what is that? Like, bring it to us who are not in the technology world. She's like, IT. I'm like, okay, we get it. IT.
Well,
okay. Like
it's more than that. It's anything you see involving computers. So it's digital design, your web interfaces, how the computer information will get to you from a server. So yeah.
And so that's her background. And then she also minored in music, and she's been married we were adding up the numbers in 1998. And so was I, and I'm like, it's 24. She's like, no, 25. And then we did the numbers, and it's 24 because she'll turn 25 years of marriage in January. That's why it was so close. And then one more thing. Let's see. She had said, just like me, our favorite occupations that we've ever had in this world. And she's had it for what, 24 years? Or you've had it for
24 years in May.
Oh my goodness. So she got married and she had a baby. That's hard. I didn't do that. She got married. So she's been a domestic engineer for over 24 years. And for those of you who don't know, domestic engineer is a stay-home mom, and it's our favorite job in the world. And she has 4 little girls and 3 boys. Okay. So we are very fortunate to have Leathra. I'm going to give the time over to Leathra, and I hope you guys are excited. Like I said, go get your favorite oils, go get your notebook. This is the time, because we're going to get started. She's going to talk to us. She's going to do a little presentation, and then she's going to do a live application on this beautiful little model right here. She's model.
She's getting impatient. She wants her turn to shine.
She's ready. So. Oh, good. She wants camera time. Awesome. All right. All right, the time is yours.
Okay, Leathra. Cool. So Jessica was saying, we actually had been using oils for many, many years. We had a child that our oldest son was really a difficult, I guess he was a handful. His wife is on the line right now, so she can attest to that. But we actually discovered essential oils, and we're told they would help him with his hyperactivity. And so we used them, and they kind of help for some things. We had some oils from a different company that we really loved. But as it went along, we weren't getting a lot of real steady results, which I'll talk about later, and how it's important that we use pure therapeutic grade oils when we do our Symphony of Cells applications. And so when we moved, and I had a midwife, and she was asking if I used essential oils. And I said, oh yeah, I use essential oils. I like them a lot. But I only use them for certain things. And she asked me what I use. And she said, well, have you ever tried doTERRA? And I had a brother who was testing at that point in time. And this is when doTERRA was brand new. And so they didn't run all of their own tests. They had outsourced their testing. And I had a brother who was testing the oils, because he would give me samples of the oils he tested. And so I called him and I said, hey, which oil is the best? This one that I've been using, or doTERRA, this brand new thing? And he says, oh, essential oils don't work. They don't work. And I said, okay, cool. I get that you don't believe in essential oils, but I want to know which is the best. And he said, well, if you're asking me which one comes back saying what they have, what's in it, and this is the most pure, it's doTERRA. And so at that point in time, we switched to doTERRA. And so we started using doTERRA oils, and then we moved from Southern Utah to Northern Utah, and I ran out of Breathe. And I needed some Breathe. So I asked my neighbor, I said, hey, does anyone here sell doTERRA? And she hooked me up with Jessica, and I ordered my Breathe through Jessica, and that was it. And then as you saw in the video, last year, it's been a rough year. It's been almost exactly a year. My husband was diagnosed with cancer, and it was really bad cancer. They didn't know how well he would do. And it was in his lymph nodes. It hadn't spread throughout his system, and it was difficult. And Jessica came over to me one night and she says, I have a gift for you. She called me. So I want to do this treatment on you. It's called Symphony of Cells. And I said, okay, well, what is it? She says, well, I'm going to rub some oils on your back. And I said, okay, wait a minute. I don't like to be touched. I don't do massages. And she says, no, it's not a massage. And I'm like, okay, you're rubbing oils on my back. But I felt like I really needed to be receptive, because she had brought some stuff over to us, and she said, you just need to receive with joy. And I thought, okay, I'll just receive with joy. And so I went to her house, and it was funny because I was describing to my daughter, my oldest daughter, I said, can you come with me? I don't want to go by myself. And she says, let me get this straight, Mom. You're going to lay in a stranger's front room and with your back exposed, and they're going to rub stuff on your back. And I said, yes. She says, so it's like your worst nightmare. I said, yes. And so I went and I had this oil treatment, and I do struggle with anxiety and depression. And it had been such a rough time. And I remember walking out of her house, and I felt better than I felt in years, literally years. And I was able to calm and relax, and I was able, okay. And so I was able to just kind of deal with life. And I had this calm, peaceful feeling that I could just handle life for about 3 or 4 days. And I went home that night, and Tom had just had a chemo treatment, and he was just flat in bed because he was so sick. He just slept all the time. He was so sick. And I said, Tom, you have to experience this. And so I did the Symphony of Cells oil treatment on my husband, and he was up in 6 hours shoveling snow from our front yard. And it was so amazing. And I looked at this and said, there has to be something going on with this Symphony of Cells system. And I looked at the book. I went and I bought the book. Actually, that night I bought the book, and I got the book, and I started flipping through them. I'm like, what else can I do with this? And I discovered that it helps with coughs and colds. And I have children with sensory processing disorders. And at the time, my brother and his 2 little boys were living with us, and they have sensory issues. And so I started using the oils on them for sensory issues, and it helped with the oils that I had with them. And so Symphony of Cells is something that has turned my casual oil use to, compartmentalizing my oil use to something that I feel can really help to heal our bodies and heal our souls. So I've got a little presentation, a little slideshow presentation that we'll go through, because I know that my friends in New York, it's super late. My friends in Florida, it's so late. So I'm going to try to get through this.
But it's still worth it.
It is so worth it.
And New Yorkers stay up late. No worries. New Yorkers stay up late, right?
They stay up late. Okay, I won't be too worried.
Yeah. Okay. Micheline is a thumbs up. Yeah. So they stay up late. I
remember meeting you at conventions, so it's super cool to see you. It's nice to see you again. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen and show a little bit of the presentation that we have. All right. It'll be your part in a minute. She's super excited to share her part. All right. Okay. So the basic of Symphony of Cells. Now this is my disclaimer. And this is when you go to their website and they talk about sharing their program. I have to tell you that it is the intellectual property of Boyd Truman, and I am not affiliated with him. I am just sharing what I have learned about how the system works and how I use it to help my family. Please, if you are interested in Symphony of Cells, I would highly encourage you to go to their website, and I will show you the 3 books that you're going to want to buy from them. and start incorporating it in your life. It's a game changer as far as essential oils go. So what is the Symphony of the cells? It is an essential oil application system. It's designed to create balance in your body and harmony. Okay. Mr. Truman has been using essential oils for 26 years. So he has been from the conception, and he's used many different types of essential oils. He was a massage therapist, and then he got into the essential oils. And this is his experience. And these are techniques that he has learned, and he's learned what the different oils are made up of, and he's learned what the different oils do. And he has come up with a system that he's tried out on his own family and on his own friends. And he actually had, I remember he had a holistic healing down in St. George that they did for a while down there. And it might still be there, I'm not sure. So it takes a holistic approach to wellness, and it recognizes the importance of proper care for the body and the soul. And that's such an important thing when we look at how our body, and when we look at some of the Symphony of Cells applications, some of them are strictly for like healing your cells, but some of them are also for healing your emotions, which is what I experienced, which I will tell you again is the most amazing thing, because Jessica did not know anything about me. And as I had this application and I started thinking about what I did the forgiveness application, I started really, it helped me to be able to think and process and come to a better place with what was going on, not just currently in my life, but where things had happened in the past. And it was so weird because I analyzed myself all the time. And to have the oils assist with that was just something I never had expected would happen. And so the application technique involves layering oils on areas of the body where there's a high number of nerve endings. It goes along with Eastern medical practice, where we use a lot of the body systems and the oil absorption into the spinal cord, into the base of your feet too. Okay, that's where that comes from. Now, the foundation of the Symphony of Cells application. Number one, we want to make sure that we're using pure therapeutic grade oils, which is why Boyd Truman does partner with doTERRA, because as I knew years and years ago from my brother who was testing these things before doTERRA tested their own oils, that doTERRA, their goal, and the reason why doTERRA exists is to provide pure therapeutic oils out into the world. That's what they do. That's what their thing is. And so to get these oils, it can be pretty expensive. So what I'm showing you tonight is an application that you can do with the Family Essential Kit. It's the basic application that I do on my kids at least once a month to help with their immunities, to keep them stronger and to keep them well balanced. And so that's what you will see tonight. And so it's super important that we make sure that we're using these pure therapeutic grade oils so that we can have consistent results. If you look at scientifically, you want to make sure you're using the exact same potency and purity every time, so that you can try to keep getting the same results, so that your results aren't hit and miss. And then the other thing that when I went to the training this past fall that he talked about is, because the essential oils are carbon-based, and we're carbon-based organisms, enzymes are so important to help us to be able to absorb those proteins and to absorb the goodness, and to help our bodies to assimilate the oil so they can do our maximum benefit. And doTERRA has a great Terrazyme enzyme that you can get, and they have wonderful vitamins. And so once you are on these essential, when you're able to, it's very important that you're making sure that you're making your body as receptive as possible. And we do that through making sure that we have good sleep, exercise, and vitamins, good cellular functioning, to try to help to make the oils treatments work as well as possible. All right, so how does it work? The essential oils are placed in layers along the spine and the bottoms of the feet. And most of the oil treatments that we do through the Symphony of Cells are at least 7 different oils. And we layer them. And the reason why you layer them is they each have different effects, and they each blend differently in different ratios in different times. And so it is important that we layer them along the spine. We drop along the spine, and we're going to rub in circular motion along the spine, and then you rub on the feet. Okay. Then after each oil is applied, it's rubbed in. And then the reason why essential oils are so effective and work so well is, like I said, because they're carbon-based, they're natural, they're whole products, and we're carbon-based. And so that allows those chemicals that naturally occur in oils to absorb into your cellular structure better than a synthetic drug or something else might. Okay, there are some really important things we need to understand when we're working with essential oils. First of all, is that some people are very, very sensitive to essential oil use. My mom is one of them. And we need to make sure that we are diluting our essential oils with a carrier oil. And so on all of our Symphony of Cells applications, I'll show you, we always put a carrier oil. And we use fractionated coconut oil that comes from doTERRA, but if you don't have that, you could use any type of oil. But it's very, very important that you dilute. And my kids, you'll see my little daughter, they have oils all the time, so they're not super sensitive to them. But if you're just starting out, you want to use just 1 or 2 drops, just the minimum amount, so that until you know if a person's going to have an allergic reaction. We want the oil to drip out of the bottle, and you don't want to press the dropper into your skin. Do not put the oils in eyes or directly in ears. And sometimes we have a problem when we're doing our Symphony of Cells. The kids might get some in their eye. And if that happens, I just squirt some coconut oil onto a cloth, and we rub, or I just put directly on my hands if it's a clean hand, and rub the coconut oil directly into their eyes and then wipe it off. Because it will sting. You do not want to add water ever, unless you want to intensify the experience. So if my kids are sick or they have a really big congestion, I'll do an oil treatment, and then I'll pop them in a hot shower, or I have a hot compress that I use on their backs, because it doesn't exacerbate, but it intensifies the experience. And then again, carrier oil. If something happens, you want to get rid of the essential oil, rub it with a carrier oil. When you store your oils, you don't want them to be in direct sunlight because that can break down the chemical compounds in them, and you don't want them to get too hot. And then if you are not using doTERRA's oils, you don't want to take things internally. There is a companion book and that's actually, we can get to that right now, because this is the end of the slideshow, and we're about ready for me to demonstrate how to do this. So let me see if I can swipe out of here. There we go. We'll go back here. Okay, sorry. So there's a companion book. These are the 3 books that I would suggest you get, and it's going to be reversed, sorry. So this is the application book, the Essential Oils application book. The Symphony of Cells application book. This is my copy, and you can see that it's written in, and I use it all the time, and it's my favorite thing. So this tells you how to do oils, and I'll go through this with you because I can't show you the pictures. I can't download them onto a presentation for copyright and stuff. I'm just going to show you what they are. The other book that I would recommend you get is called Oil Smart. And this is super cool because in here, he's going to go through and he is going to tell you any type of ailment you might need or have. And inside this book, it's going to tell you what you can take internally. It's going to tell you what vitamins and things to take to help. It's going to tell you the Symphony of Cells that you can do. And it'll also tell you other oils that you can use. And so this is like my new Bible. When my husband and I first got into oils like 17, 18 years ago, we bought a really thick manual, like a desk reference, essential oil desk reference book. And I always go to this book first. And then if I have more questions, I cross-reference in my desk reference. But this book is cool. And these books aren't that expensive. I think the whole set is under $20. And I don't know if you've been to college or if you've ever purchased textbooks, they're pretty expensive. So these are not that expensive. So when we look at doing an application, and tonight I'm going to show you how to do is Intro 2. And this is the one that I do on my kids once a month to help to boost their immunity. But when you first look at the book, it has different pictures on the application guide. And so each of these different pictures means something different. And I don't know if you can see that very well. Are you almost ready, Hopi? And so it will tell you how to apply the oils to a person's back based on the picture in the reference. In a minute, because I'm gonna do your oils in just a minute. Okay. So for the application that we're going to be doing tonight, which is Intro 2, you will see that it has all the oils listed, and then it tells you that we have down the spine and on the feet. And for reference, most of the oil applications that are used use frankincense. So it's really awesome that frankincense was a free oil this month, because almost every application starts with frankincense. So I think we'll demonstrate an application now. So I'm going to turn off my camera really fast and turn it around, and we'll be all set up to show you how to do an oil treatment. And so the first thing that we do when we start our oil treatment is I set out all my oils, and I actually have, let me see if I can get this better. I actually have a little tray that I use, and I'm going to take the lids off of all of my oils before I start. And that way I can just go a little bit faster, because when we start our oil treatment, we want to make sure that we are always touching, we're making physical contact with the person that we're doing oils on. And there's a lot of psychological and physiological reasons for this. This affects the brain in so many ways, not just the oils, but the physical touch. And when we're looking at healing a person, and the rubbing up down the spine, and all of these things are making neurosynapse connections that are very, very healthy and helpful in healing. And so I have her right now. She has a shirt on backwards, so we can do that. Some of the oil treatments have them smell the oil too. And I used to put it on my hand and then have them smell it. But we were having a problem with sometimes it getting in there, being too strong. And so I just watched online. Someone would take the oil vial and they just put it underneath their nose so they can smell. And it's a lot, the kids like that, that's a lot easier. All right, so every oil treatment that we have right here, it starts with frankincense always. Not every oil treatment, but most oil treatments, sorry. There's, I think, 2 that don't start with frankincense. One of the sensory ones that I do with my kids doesn't start with frankincense. So we put frankincense up on the shoulders and down the spine. And we're just going to rub it in, rub it all down the spine, and then I'm going to rub it on her feet.
On my toe too.
On your toes too? Did I miss that part?
Mm-hmm.
Then we take our carrier oil. And this is a super, yeah, within the couch. This is super important, and we want to put that down the spine really well. We want to have a good amount, and some of that reasoning is so that we don't rub the skin off of people's backs either. We want to have a good lubrication so the oils can kind of soak in and distribute along the back. Then we're going to do 1 or 2 drops. For children, you're just going to want to do 1 or 2 drops. And sometimes I get more than that on my kids, but they're very used to it. So I generally don't have any problems. There is one oil that my kids tend to be allergic to. We move on to lavender. And so I have to really watch that, because when I see them turning red, their backs will get a little bit red, or they'll see, Mom, it itches. I just pour on a bunch more carrier oil, and that really helps. And then we have breathe. And lemon. Which was supposed to be oregano, but it looks like my lids have been messed up, but that's okay. Deep blue, which I don't know if you guys have used deep blue, but you have to be careful with this one, because it will turn, it'll turn the kids blue. It's okay. It's not as bad as blue tansy. That really turns them blue. We have to be careful with that one. And then we finish up with peppermint.
Pepper.
Peppermint.
Mm.
And then she is done. That is our entire essential oil. Now, frequently, because I do all the essential oil treatments, I don't get them a lot. If I have leftovers, I'll rub on my chest and down on my back. And that way I get a treatment too, especially when they're sick. Because when they are sick, especially this one, she still sleeps in our bed most nights. And so if she's got a cold and she's sitting, she does love her oils. If she's got a cold and she's sleeping on my face all night long, I'm going to get that cold. And so actually doing this system, you want the peppermint leftovers? There you go. Okay.
That's why the peppermint.
Oh, that's not your peppermint leftover.
Yeah.
So I actually haven't gotten sick. I rarely get sick, even when the kids are sick. And I think it's just because I'm the one who's doing all the oil treatments. And when I line them all up, my oldest daughter calls it my hippie hour. She loves it so much because she'll come home from work or from dance and I'd have all the kids lined up on the floor in the living room and we're rubbing them down. And she's like, oh, you're such a hippie mom. But it really, it really helps. And guess what? When she's sick or when her back is sore, that's what she wants. She wants the essential oils and she wants that done for her too. And so I think that's about everything that I had, and we can open it up for questions.
Leathra, that was an excellent presentation. I love it. It was short and sweet, to the point, and a great example. And you were such a good model. Excellent work. Like Vita said, I love her and I love the oils. Let's see.
And I get a ponytail, a short one. So it's up her hat. That's her eye.
All right.
And I like your share about how, since you've been giving it, how many do you give a night? You give it to your husband plus your children. So how many would you say you'd give it one
we
set?
Go in spurts. If everyone's sick and everyone's getting, so we would generally do Sunday night is oil night.
Okay.
And so girls would get the girls would get the basics, and then my son, my youngest son at home, but he's like 17. He would get his processing, his 1 first sensory processing. Oh, which we didn't talk about, but we can. He would get his 1 first sensory processing, and then if Tom needed one for his cancer, for his chemo, he would get one too. And so when you have someone who's sick, this is how we do it. Like we just finished with this cold that was been going through. And so there are different oil treatments that you can do. So if I have a sick person or kids, okay, go change your shirt into a regular shirt. Daddy, will you help her? So if I have someone who's sick, I will alternate, and they get one every night. And so we would do a lymphatic. We would do a lymphatic one night, respiratory the next night. And then we would just switch between those two. And then we would also have the kids take some oils internally. If you look at the Oil Smart book, it tells you what you can take internally for croup, for coughs, for stomach upset, pain. And so we would do it every night until they're better. And sometimes, like with the respiratory ones, anything extra on my hands, we rub right on their chest. And then we seal it with a hot pad. I have some gel hot pads that you can reset. And so we pop the hot pads, lay them on the kids' back, put a blanket over them, and just let it sweat into them, because it opens up their pores and opens up their cells, and it allows those oils to soak in much more effectively. And so we would do that with them. So on a given night, I could do 7, 8, or 9 oil treatments a night. And so it's really great that Symphony of Cells, now I've done some of the Aroma Touch. I'm in the middle of the Aroma Touch training. So it's really great that the Symphony of Cells doesn't take as long as Aroma Touch, because I can line them all up and get them all done. And I have photos of my kids falling asleep with they in the middle of their oil session. So if they're tired or they're sick and they're just asleep on the bed or on the floor. And that's something to look at when we're looking at the ones for emotional health and this is something that my brother, who was living with us, discovered when he moved out with his boys, and started doing the essential oil treatments. If you're treating someone for an emotional oil treatment and it does not calm them down, it's the wrong match. And you need to try a different treatment. And so he has a set of twins, and his one twin does really good with the sensory treatment. But the other twin, it's not helping so much. And so he had to move on. And I think he ended up with Amobic is what ended up really helping his other twin. And so we went through this with my middle daughter, who had super bad allergies. And I was trying everyone in the book to see what would help her with her allergies, and nothing was helping. And then I was reading through the one I did for my husband for his cancer, to help him with his chemotherapy. And it said it was good for allergies too. And I said, oh, I'll try this. And it's what works for her. And so she gets the Maxim once a month to help her with her allergies. And so because essential oils, I do smell, it smells good. Because essential oils are, interact differently with our chemical makeup, something that might work for someone else is not necessarily going to work for you. And that's okay. Keep trying different things until you find what does work best for you. My kids are dancers. They dance all the time. We dance hours every day. That's what I do. It's my second job, is I'm a taxi driver. But sometimes they'll come home really sore, and what will work for one of my kids as far as treating their back pain or issues doesn't always work for one of my other children. And so I think that's the best thing about the Symphony of Cells and the Oil Smart book, is that he gives you so many different things that you can try to use to help you out.
Excellent. I like those tips that you just shared. Yeah, because sometimes people get stuck. They say, oh, this didn't work for me. I didn't feel anything, but keep trying. It's just like medicine, right? People are more open sometimes to like, oh, well, if this medicine didn't work, let me try this other one. And right. And sometimes they're more resistant to natural things, but it's the same perspective. If it didn't work, and actually with the essential oils, it is working. We just don't know. Sometimes we don't feel it. Like I take the vitamins. People get a lot of energy. I don't, but I have natural energy. So
you don't need more energy.
Exactly. It would be a mess. But some people get a lot of energy. That's an upper for them. For me, it just keeps me going, but I don't notice it. So, but I know it's working. So something with the same thing with the essential oils. All right. There's some comments in the chats. Let's see. Micheline from New York said, awesome demo, Leathra. Woohoo. I think, yeah, I agree. Thanks. I second that. And then Roberta is Leathra's mom. She was the first one here. That's how that's how we are. We're the first ones to show up. She was here an hour early. We wouldn't let her in because Leathra was trying everything out, but she stayed online. She didn't go away. Thank you, Roberta, for your commitment to your daughter. Here it is. It says, how do you know? She says, how do you know how many drops to use? Great question. Or how do you get an exact amount? Very good question.
So you don't need to have, and I thought it was a super strict, fast rule. You had to do all these things. And then I went to the training, and he's like, we only put 2 to 3 drops in our instructions because people can be sensitive. So you want to start with the least amount at first. You're too nosy. And then you can build up. So for you, because I know you're super allergic to stuff, you need to be like 1 or 2 drops with lots of carrier oil. But like on Tom, when I was doing for his chemotherapy, for his chemotherapy recovery, I'm like 5, 6, 7 drops all the way down his back. I want to have a good surface to be able to rub in to make sure that I've got enough to cover the whole spinal column. You want to go, and there's different ways to do different applications. I just did the basic one because it's going to be the easiest for people to access. Once you really get into these essential oils, you buy an oil a month or 3 or 4 oils a month. Or if you're like my brother, you buy 3 whole sets of oils and make your person who you're under super happy. But you just want to just start off slow. You want to have enough surface area that you're really rubbing the oil in well to the back. You don't want it to be dry, and you don't want your hand to be sticking along their back. So if you've only used 1 or 2 drops of oil, make sure you put more carrier oil on so it goes through. Did that answer your question?
Okay, let's see. She didn't respond yet, but if not, she has your number.
She does have my number. We talk
And
occasionally.
you could probably call anytime. All right, she said yes. All right. Well, Leathra, we would love to meet Tom. And is he at home? Because he is.
He is. And I just sent him to help kids with food. So I'll trade off.
Oh, all
and
right.
let
No,
him.
if there's
No,
any
he's right
comments.
here. He would love to come talk to you. And I will
Yes.
go.
No,
I'll
no,
go
stay
help you.
together, stay together, stay together. Don't go.
Okay. Well,
Let's
I'm
just
sitting on the
like
floor,
just a
so let
few
me
minutes.
stand up.
Okay.
And Tom, I bet you guys want to know, he's actually in remission right now.
Okay, there you go.
So that is pretty
The
miraculous.
A team right here.
Yeah.
So Tom put in the chat, he's put in the chat, this treatment, which he's referring to, the Symphony of Cells, was such an amazing blessing for me this year. And then he wrote to you, Leathra, he said, well done, thank you.
My
All right.
husband, I love him. You laughed at me. No, his doctor, actually, his oncologist, when he came in to talk to him after his chemo, he said, you're the reason why I do this, for success stories like you. He's like, you were not in a good place. And I remember I would ask them, because we have a son who's serving a mission for our church in New York. We've got a son who's stationed in North Dakota. He's actually in Italy right now on TDY. And I'm like, we have to go see him this summer. We haven't seen him in over a year. And I'm like, can we plan a trip? And the oncologist is like, well, I think I can get you to summer. And I'm like, okay, well, I've got a kid who wants her dad to baptize him. Can we make it to October? And he's like, well, we'll just take one day at a time. And so when we first went in and saw him, they weren't expecting him to make it much past the summer. And so for him to be in remission is just pretty amazing. So it really is a good thing. We're happy about that.
Can you spin this?
Hi, Tom.
Hi,
Would you like to-
everyone. Thanks for joining us. I did not know about Symphony of Cells before this summer, honestly.
Last spring.
This last spring. So you've heard a little bit about my health situation. I am still recovering, but I'm doing so much better. I'm back to work and everything, which we didn't know was going to be possible during the summer. Right now, I don't have any traces of cancer. I've had so many miracles, and I look at these oils as a huge gift and a blessing. It revitalized my cellular structure when I had them, and it was amazing. My first experience really was amazing when I had the Symphony of Cells, and I prayerfully meditated and asked our Heavenly Father to help me while I was meditating and using the oils and trying to connect everything. And I realized that we all have our own timeline on this earth, and it's up to us to do good with that time that we've got. And I'm trying to use these oils and the things that have blessed my life, that have helped with healing and restoration of my body and my systems, to be able to share that message with other people. But I'm a believer in them. They've really helped me. I was amazed at how well they worked. I remember getting the oil treatment the first time and not really knowing what to expect, but prayerfully and taking it seriously. And it was late at night when I had the oil treatment, and I think I had a chemo pump on. So I had chemotherapy, and then I had a pump that I went home with, and it pumped more chemotherapy into my system for another 46 hours. I was up bright and early, and I could feel those oils radiating through my spine, and I was ready to go. I couldn't go back to bed if I wanted to. And the things my wife said were true. I remember shoveling and doing different things like that. I'd have family members come and see me, and they were amazed at the things that I was able to do. And these oils helped me to be able to have a more active lifestyle while I was going through chemo. And it was intensive chemo, the treatments that I had. And I just thank God for prayer and his miracles and blessings. I've been richly blessed, and this is a huge part of my blessing and miracles. Thank you.
Well, and they helped not just chemo. I know our nephews that were living with us at the time. I would just do their oils, and they have some issues. But I was doing my one nephew's oils, and he says, I don't like the oils, but my brain does. And so that sensory treatment that I was doing on them, even though he didn't like the smell of them, he could feel a difference in his body and his ability to focus and his ability to do things. And our oldest son too. And so Symphony of Cells is something that we have a real testimony of, because it totally changed the way we use oils. So this is something that's really close to our hearts, because it really is a great way to help heal our bodies and our minds and our souls, and just kind of work it all together.
Yeah. It's something you have to experience. That's amazing.
So inspirational. It's moving to hear like you said, your journey. That's a miracle, and I love how you said you prayerfully meditated to receive answers. And I know at other times we've spoken where you said, I prayed to know what to do.
Yeah, I prayed and asked God to send people in my life that could help me with the healing process, because I didn't have the knowledge and understanding of what to do with such an overwhelming situation. My prayers were answered. Had a lot of people come into my life and bless me in a lot of different ways.
It's powerful. Michelle Lynn is writing here. She says, beautiful share, much peace and blessing to your wellness and healthy well-being for your entire family. And Moneta said, what a blessing. Thank you for sharing. And then Rita said, thank you for sharing your tips. Great job. Yeah. Your story needs to continue to be shared. And I thank you for accepting this invitation and for being brave and sharing. And I think versus being brave and asking for help and starting from the divine, right? And then being open to receiving. And I believe that prayer also helped Leathra when I said, hey, Leathra, give this a try. And I remember her resistance. And she was like, I don't like being touched.
It literally was my worst nightmare. It was so funny, because my daughter's like, you mean it's your worst nightmare? Yeah, it's literally my worst nightmare was that situation.
Yeah, she said, I don't like to be touched. And she goes, and I don't like massages. And I just said, Leathra, I think this will help you. And I'm not going to give you a massage. I'm not a massage therapist. This is an application. And I believe it's a gift. I said, please receive it. Please receive it. And she's okay. And she said to me, I remember, she says, I feel I can trust you, and therefore I will do it. And then she got off, and I believe I gave her the basic, or did I, which one did I?
It was forgiveness. I did forgiveness.
Okay. Okay. Did you choose forgiveness?
I did. And I was like, man, rose oil is on there, and rose oil is like $300. So I'm gonna make this work.
Yeah, yes.
And so I just meditated, and I just, did that. And it really,
Forgiveness is a magnificent protocol. She showed you the books. Like she said, if you've gone to college or university, I remember when I went for nursing, my books were like $75. I think they're now like $150. So like, she spent maybe 20, 30. How much have we spent on those? And
like,
if you,
$25 for the book, the set. It was not expensive. it's
It's
way worth it.
Yeah, it's a great investment. But and as Tom was saying, right? Tom and Leathra and I, we attend the same church. We're in the same neighborhood. Where you never know. You let people know what you do. I received the blessing of getting to know Leathra and Tom much better, more on a personal level, because of doTERRA, because someone remembered I did doTERRA, and I don't promote it much in my church, but I smell like it all the time. I'm a human diffuser. I'm applying it all the time, and people are like, what is she doing? Like, there she goes with her oils. And so a friend of ours, a common friend, she goes, yeah, Jessica, I believe Jessica does it. And I was nervous to reach out to Leathra. I didn't know Leathra. She was someone who just moved into the neighborhood. I know we helped her move in, but I didn't get to even meet her there. My husband helped out. But we have to take risk. And like I said, when they made the announcement of the Evans and what the struggle that Tom was dealing with, colon cancer, stage 3, that's serious. That's, it's not just the beginnings of it. It's already taking over your body, your system. And as members, and whenever we're in a situation with family, you don't know what to do. And all you can do, if you believe, like we're believers, is pray. And I felt inspired to talk to Leathra and offer her the Symphony of Cells, because I felt that it would be a blessing to her life. Little did I know. And that's why we have to follow promptings, or that message in our heart, or that feeling in our gut, because we never know the impact of our service. It may be small. For me, it was small. I was just giving, Leathra a little TLC, tender love and care, and the impact of it, how she took it into her home, to her family, and then offered it to Tom. And Tom, right after chemo, he said he couldn't go back to sleep, had energy. And chemo is so debilitating. I mean, it's very toxic to our body, and it's hard. And for the oils, like he said, it helped with his cells and helping give him energy. So be brave, trust your heart, trust your gut, and just do it. Just offer it, because you never know how to impact. And I will tell you, from this experience with them, and I hear their story, and it touches me every time. Like when I played their video, I watch their video over and over, and it just touches me. And just their existence is touching people today. Just being here today, just their story. And I want you to know how powerful you are, Leathra and Tom, and that your story needs to be heard. Your story needs to be shared, and that we need to do it on a bigger platform to reach more people, because we may not be fighting cancer, right? But it's just inspirational, and that we can make a difference with these oils, and that we just have to be brave. I thank you, Leathra, and I thank you, Tom, and I thank everyone who attended tonight. I hope that you can take something for yourselves today, right? If not, if something just as simple as buying the book and
Buy the book. No, it
buy
will
the
change,
book, and then
it'll change your life.
There you go.
It's a game changer. You got it. Good. It is a
Yeah.
total game. Do you love it?
Who's that? Okay. And so, and also Boyd Truman, he offers the classes yearly. Take that class. I've taken about 3 times. I'm thinking of taking it again, just because it's just a reminder, like how we go to church every Sunday. Like people are like, why do you go to church? Why do you keep going? And you're still so imperfect. Yes, we are. But the reason why we go is because we need to get perfected. And so we need to be reminded of how to do that. And it's the same thing with the essential oils, with coming to classes, that we don't know everything, and we need to be reminded so we can perfect our art, right? And so it's very important. So if you can take the class, do take it. I see Rita has her hand up, but we have our upline here. Delmar, thank you for joining us. She says, yes, your strong faith is inspiring. So Delmar Alstrom, and she said, oh, very well said, Jess, and beautiful share. So thank you for Delmar for joining. Delmar is an advocate of Symphony of the Cells. She's taught it in Spanish, and she's been a Aroma Touch instructor. Thank you for being here. Is there anything else you want to add, Leathra or Tom, or you want to leave them with a message? Let me allow you.
I just think that I remember that we need to holistically heal, and I really appreciate with the kids. We don't meditate a lot when we do our Symphony of Cells because they're little kids. But that the ability to sit and to think, and the way that the oils can help heal our bodies and our souls is truly amazing, and something that I didn't understand until we had experienced it. And so, yeah, share the oils, share Symphony of Cells. It's amazing. And I don't know, do you have anything else to add?
I had an epiphany when I met with my surgeon, and I told him about the oils
Oh,
that
yeah.
I was getting with the Symphony of Cells. And he reminded me about the story of the Good Samaritan in the Bible. He's like, what was the last thing the Good Samaritan did? He set him up in the end. He's like, no, what happened after that? And he reminded me that his wounds were dressed with oil. Yeah. And he's like, think about that, and you'll have like an aha moment.
This was his surgeon.
Yeah, coming from a surgeon.
Yeah. Which he's a great guy, because he was an Army surgeon, so he was retired Army, and so yeah, he was pretty cool.
Anyway, oils are wonderful. They've been around for a long, long time, and I think now we're benefiting from hundreds and hundreds of years of people using that. We've got good data on it, and the refinement process has never been better.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I just want to reiterate that oils supported Tom.
They didn't cure him. Yeah.
Right. They did not cure them. Okay. So for those of you tune in and you're watching later, oils, he was receiving chemo treatments. And did you also receive radiation? Just
no,
chemo.
Just chemo.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Just chemo. And he utilized the oils to support him with energy and digestion, and right, but the oils did not heal them. That's not our message today. Our message is you can complement traditional medicine,
yeah,
right, and also under the care of your doctor or nurse practitioner, especially if you're in the United States, we have nurse practitioners, right? So under the care of your doctor and nurse practitioner, take the oils to them. The doctors and nurses are much more open than they were before. And as you can see, Tom used them. So we can utilize them, oils in our treatments with cancer, but you do have to, the recommendation is to talk to your doctor or nurse and make sure that it complements what, the protocol, because everyone is an individual and it's customized. But thank you again.